I'm going to replace the alloy wheels that came on my cross-country bike, which is a Niner RKT9 RDO, with a pair of carbon wheels and let you know the differences that I notice in ride quality. So these are the Stan's Podium carbon wheels. They have been my wheel of choice for cross-country riding and racing for at least the past 5 years. Not only are they very, very light, they have very good lateral stiffness, so they don't flex much side to side. That allows the bike to be in more control when you're going through rough stuff, so the wheel is not deflecting off of objects, allowing you to hold a better line. They're also stiff in the corners, so when you're pushing hard into a corner, the bike is going to hold that line better because, again, the wheel is not flexing laterally. Now, they're also built with good vertical compliance. So in other words, when you hit a bump, they will flex a little bit this way, allowing the bike to be more comfortable. The wheels that came on the bike are a pair of Stan's Arch S1s, which I've been riding for the past couple of months. And I've actually been really impressed with those wheels. They're not the lightest wheel set, which is why I'm replacing them, but they too have some really good lateral stiffness and they're not harsh. But the issue with alloy wheels is they cannot be built too light, otherwise they're just too flexy. And I've ridden some flexible alloy wheels in the past and I just did not like the ride quality. They were noodles. They just flexed all over the place. The bike was harder to control, which is the beauty of carbon. They can be light and stiff where they need to be and compliant where they need to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh the bike as it is now with the alloy wheels, and then I'll make the wheel swap to the carbons, weigh it again, and then we'll see how much weight we drop. But more importantly, I'm going to come back and tell you the differences that I noticed in the ride quality. So today I did about a 2.5 hour ride on the alloy wheels. After I make this wheel swap today, I'm going to go back out tomorrow, ride the same course again, and pick the video back up to let you know what I think of the carbons in relation to the alloy wheels. So let's weigh this bike and see where we're at and see how much weight we can drop. So currently the bike as it sits right now with the alloy wheels and pedals installed comes in at 25.53 pounds. So now with the carbon wheels installed on the bike, we're at 24.25. So we dropped about 1.25 pounds. Now that's rotational weight, and that makes a pretty big difference in terms of how the bike feels, especially when getting up to speed. So when sprinting, accelerating out of a corner, that kind of thing. So tomorrow I'll get back out on the same trail that I rode today. I'll ride for a couple hours, and then I'll pick this video back up to let you know the difference in the ride quality between the carbon wheels and the alloy wheels that were on the bike. All right, so I've spent about 2.5 hours riding the carbon wheels, and I'll say that the difference was actually more pronounced than I thought it would be. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the Stan's Arch S1 wheels is a good wheel set. For the price, you really can't beat it. It's laterally stiff, it's got that vertical compliance that I talked about, and I expected more than a 1.25 pound difference between the wheel sets. So again, the Arch wheels are not that heavy, but the Podium wheels, man, nothing will transform the ride quality of a bike like a really high quality wheel set. You really get what you pay for. The wheel set made this bike, which is already lively and just agile feeling, even more lively and more agile. The first thing that I noticed was that the front end just felt lighter and it felt like I could move it around easier. It felt more precise. So let me break down kind of the differences that I noticed. They do, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, hold a line better, and you can really feel it. Like when you go into a corner, you just feel like the bike is just holding that line so well. The front end does not wallow around, and I would say they also feel more compliant. I mean, the difference is not that noticeable. That's probably the least noticeable difference, but there is a difference. I did feel like the wheels absorb the bumps better, and we don't have a lot of rocks where I ride locally, but there are a ton of roots, and having a compliant wheel set is really important. I've ridden some carbon wheels that were just like riding on boards. They were so stiff. I mean, they had the precision, but the comfort was not there. These are not like that, and I could notice it when I got out on the trail. And what I really felt like was at higher speeds, especially when I was heading downhill, I just felt like I had more control. The bike held its line better, I could push it, and really what I noticed was the harder you push the bike, the more advantage the carbon wheels are. And what I mean by that is when you're pushing harder into a corner, like you're really slamming the front wheel into a corner, the harder you do that, the better the carbon wheels are. The faster you go over rougher terrain, the better the bike stays in control because it just holds that line. I didn't think I'd notice that much of a difference because the arch wheels, they're a pretty stiff wheel set, but man, I did notice it with the carbon wheels. One thing that I noticed on this time out, and that I haven't really noticed before riding carbon wheels, is that you could brake later, because the bike, a 1.25 pound difference does make the bike feel lighter, but the rotational weight makes it feel like it's a 3 pound difference. And what I noticed was going into the corners, I could brake later because the bike, it just broke quicker because the wheels are not carrying as much momentum. It's a lighter wheel set. And those XT brakes, I love Shimano brakes because they have that instant grab when you brake into a corner, and combine that with the carbon wheels and you can brake pretty late into a corner, which means you can carry more speed going into a corner. So really, to sum it up, the carbon wheels just make this bike even more fun to ride. It was already fun to ride, but make it more playful, more lively. You can accelerate quicker, you can brake later, you can corner harder, you can carry more speed over rough terrain. It just makes this bike more fun. And I'll just throw in a little side note here, and that is cross-country bikes are a lot of fun, even if you don't ever plan to race. Sometimes they are the most fun tool for the job, and throw in a good carbon wheel set, it just amplifies that. So that's my kind of summary of this changing out alloy wheels for carbon wheels. I knew I was going to do it. I'm so glad I did it. You get what you pay for. Carbon wheels, they make a difference. But if you've never ridden carbon wheels, don't stress about it if it doesn't fit into your budget yet, because you can get some really good alloy wheels that are still a lot of fun to ride. But when you have the budget, nothing will change the ride quality of a bike more than a really high quality set of carbon wheels. Hopefully you've learned some things from this video. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. And if you are a subscriber, head on over to my website, everyday-explorer.com, and you can get some channel merchandise, which right now just consists of a t-shirt and a hat, but it's gonna grow. So I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.